The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, or MWI, proposes that every possible physical reality, every past and every future, coexists right now. This interpretation of quantum mechanics isn't the most popular. It's a wild interpretation, and yet it's endorsed by many of the world's top theoretical physicists. This interpretation also exists in various ancient texts and perfectly explains a plethora of psychic and occult phenomena. Indra's net is a concept that comes from the Atharva Veda, written in the 3rd century, and is a metaphor to describe the nature of reality in Hindu philosophy. Imagine a spider's web. On each intersection of the web is a dewdrop. If you were to look through one dewdrop, you would see the reflection of every other dewdrop on the web. If you were to touch any part of the web, the vibrations would be felt in every string and every dewdrop. This perfectly illustrates the holographic nature of reality. Every dewdrop, every point on the web contains information about every other dewdrop. In his work, The Book of the Law, Aleister Crowley wrote, "Each of us thus has a universe of their own, but it is the same universe for each one as soon as it includes all possible experience." This implies the extension of consciousness to include all other consciousness. It can be extremely difficult to conceptualize the many worlds interpretation, especially when given the vastness of our universe. Imagine nearly infinite parallel universes stacked on top of each other, and it's no wonder why this interpretation is difficult for many to grapple with. But this concept becomes much easier to understand when you remember reality as we know it is just a description of a mental experience. The hard problem of consciousness as it's known in physics is the problem of explaining how consciousness emerges from matter. But this concept is extremely easy to grasp when you flip it around. Consciousness doesn't arise from matter. Matter is a mental experience that is created by consciousness. This consciousness first point of view is called panpsychism. But it also goes by a much older name, animism. Animism is one of the oldest of pagan beliefs. Our ancestors understood that the universe is alive, that everything is conscious, and consciousness is just another word for spirit. String theory, a leading contender for a true theory of everything, posits the existence of 11 dimensions of hyperspace. Our reality is the 3rd dimension, with the rest existing outside of our perception in what is known as dark matter. Let us now compare the following quotes from Michio Kaku, one of the founders of string theory, and the Kabbalion, one of the most important and influential of all occult texts. The best theory comes from string theory, which states that dark matter is nothing but a higher vibration of the string. We are, in some sense, the lowest octave on a vibrating string. The principle of vibration. This principle explains that the differences between different manifestations of matter, energy, mind, and even spirit result largely from varying rates of vibration. Mythological gods, angels, spirits of all sorts, and even extraterrestrial life can thus be understood as dark matter life forms, or extra-dimensional, non-physical organized consciousness vibrating outside of 3-dimensional space-time. In mythology, these beings have the ability to influence and shape the physical world, manifesting in ways that seem miraculous or divine to human perception. This theory aligns perfectly with a core belief found in most of the world's major religions, that our world exists between a higher and lower realm with which we do not have direct contact. Yet, through telepathic communication, prayer, ritual, and intense meditation, we can communicate and collaborate with. The proposition that spirits and mythological gods are dark matter life forms inhabiting higher dimensions presents a unifying explanation for their existence and interactions with our world. The many worlds interpretation, combined with the theory of panpsychism, implies that consciousness is directly responsible for navigating through the nearly infinite parallel realities and aligning with the reality that best matches your state of consciousness. This means that ultimately your experience of reality conforms to your beliefs about it. This is why what you expect to happen is almost always what happens. So why can't we just think positive thoughts and suddenly turn life into whatever we want it to be? because most of your beliefs are subconscious. To quote psychiatrist Carl Jung, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. You can tell yourself all day that from now on everything is going to work out exactly the way you want it to. But if you don't believe it at the subconscious level, then you're really just gaslighting yourself and ignoring the real problem. Magic, often dismissed as mere fantasy, is a discipline rooted in the understanding of these universal laws. The casting of magic spells involves the deliberate alteration of one's subconscious mind in order to navigate through the nearly infinite parallel realities and arrive in the timeline that best aligns with the magician's desires. Rituals, symbols, and magical practices create frequency bridges that enable communication and influence between dimensions. By accessing the mental and astral planes, practitioners tap into these higher dimensional realms, invoking spirits and deities to aid in their work.